Well, good morning, Flag Church. Thanks for making it in past the threat of rain. And if you're not part of Flag Church and you're visiting today, we're really glad that you're here. Thanks for taking the time and the effort and to think that the time you're going to spend here is actually going to be worth your time. And I totally get that some of you are here because it's Easter. You got drugged here by someone because you're part of a family deal and you don't want to be here. And we're going to do everything that we can to go ahead and make this as least miserable as possible for you today. So we're glad that you're here. I do think you'll be able to pull some things out of the message, even if you're a skeptic today. Even if you're a skeptic, we're extremely excited that you're here. It's going to be an awesome day. Can somebody say amen? Amen. It's going to be good. It's going to be good. So let me ask you, what seems unchangeable in your life? What seems unchangeable that there's no way it could change? It's not going to happen. See, Easter changed history because it changed something that we thought was unchangeable. That was the finality of death. And the finality of death changed. There's nothing impossible with God, including the change that you need, the change that you want, and the change that you've been hoping for, the change that you've been needing in your life. And if you're not a religious person today, not only are we glad that you're here, Easter is the perfect holiday for you, honestly. And when you look in the New Testament, everyone that came across the idea that Jesus was going to be raised from the dead, and everyone that came across the encounter that he was raised from the dead, their first response was yours, doubt. There's not one person in the entire New Testament that said, yep, I knew it, called it, nailed it. Nobody. Nobody in the entire New Testament said, I knew that was going to happen. Just the Father, just the Son, and just the Spirit. Everyone else missed it. Everyone else missed it. So doubt is acceptable here today. But we're all headed somewhere. And I believe I'm speaking to a group of people that want to head somewhere on purpose, not by accident. And we're all going to end up somewhere, but it's not going to be our intention that gets us anywhere. It's going to be our direction. And maybe today you can get some hope for your direction to change. What has stopped you in your tracks? What has stolen your hope? What maybe has arrested your development? Did you see what I did there? TV show arrested your development? Okay, good. You're with me. Good deal. Go ahead and pull your notes out if you would. They're in the back of that bulletin you got when you came in. If you didn't get a bulletin when you came in, lift your hand. We'll get one in your hands. No, we don't make you take notes. But if you have the note sheet, you know when I'm almost done. So that might be worth having, huh? The first thing in your notes is this. I would love to change blank. What would you put in there? Now, the key is you can't go talking about someone, I'd love to change my mother-in-law. I'd love to change my background. I'd love to change my degree. No, I would love to change my major. You already changed your major 4 times. Stick with what you got. You're doing all right. So we're talking about yourself. What would you love to change? Maybe you'd like to change your relationship with your mother-in-law. Maybe you'd like to change your direction with your major. What is something you'd like to see changed in your life? And you might be going, I'm not doing too bad, but we try and be a perfect place for imperfect people. So we all know there's some area that we're aimed that we're not getting where we want to go. We all know there's a destination that we want to go, but our direction tends to wander. Our internal GPS isn't all that accurate at times. Or here's a harsher question. Instead of filling out, I would love to change, what if you phrased it like, everyone around me wants me to change this part of me? If you had the courage, ask your spouse. No, let's not go there. Too difficult today. It's Easter. Let's stay happy, all right? Where does hope seem impossible in your life? Where does it seem that it's not going to change? Hurts, habits, hang-ups? Have you had any hurdles that have reshaped into roadblocks or any hiccups that have morphed into mountains in your life? Where do you need hope? What needs change? Or have you tried to change in the past and failed? Failed. Because we've all done that. And not just the January 1, I'm going to get in shape this year. January 6, let's go eat Mexican. Yeah, that blew that out of the water. Well, where have we failed in the past? What do you really wish you would have started changing, not 5 minutes ago, but 5 years ago? And you realize, had I started 5 years ago, oh man, think of where I'd be now. The best day to change was 5 years ago. The second best day to have that hope is today. It's today. I just can't get control of and fill in the blank. What have you written down so far on that sheet? I can't get control of and insert name of sin here, anger, my lying, my sexual self-discipline. Maybe you can't get your health under control, whether that's physical, financial, relational, or psychological health. Maybe you can't get the D words under control, doubt, despair, discouragement, depression. Things master us, attitudes master us, sin masters us, but Jesus mastered death. Would you read God's word out loud with me? It's on the screen there. Here we go. For we know that since Christ was raised from the dead, he cannot die again. Death no longer has mastery over him. But we got junk mastering us all over the place. Well, I saw someone today, if you're in the room, I don't even remember who it was, but on Facebook they said, hey, pray for me. Today I break my relationship with Diet Pepsi. For whatever reason, they feel like that's been something that's been too focused in their life, and they're just trying to break away from that. I guess if you're drinking 10 cans a day, that's probably something you might want to change. He's got mastery over death. That means he's got mastery over Diet Pepsi. And he's got mastery over whatever it is that you need to write in that blank that you're not going to have to show anybody, that we're not going to take a picture of and put it on the new sign outside. You know, in his great mercy, he has given us a new birth, new, into a living hope, not a dead hope, through the resurrection of Christ. What hope will you have if nothing changes in your life? But where could you end up with some change? What change could get you peace with your past, some progress with your present, and you quit fearing the future, but actually start dreaming fondly about your future again? And I'm here to tell you, before you walk off this property, you can have that hope planted in your heart, and it can start taking root in your life. Or, because God's sovereignty to give you sovereignty, you can tell God to go take a flying leap at the moon and just hang on for another 50 minutes until you're out of here and go, good, let's eat lunch. But either way, we live with the consequences of our own decisions. No one's ever been able to escape that. And you may be going, Pastor, those are good ideas, but you don't realize what I've been through, man. That ship is flowing. I'm too old. That's not going to happen. What if it could? What if it could? Jesus came across a situation where everyone would go, that's impossible. That's impossible. And Jesus basically agreed with him. He goes, you're right. With man, that is impossible. But with God, what is it you wrote down? With God, or more importantly, what is it you haven't written down yet? Because you won't write it down, because you're pretty sure that with man it's impossible, which, by the way, Jesus fully agrees with you. But with God. And why haven't you written anything down? Because some of you haven't. I'm not going to twist your arm on it, but I'm going to push your button a little bit. Are you too tired and too low on hope to even dream for change? Because if you are, you're in the right place today. You came to the right spot. There may not be a lot of hope in this room, but there's enough that you can relight your fire, because you don't need much. You don't need much. Didn't that great theologian Bruce Springsteen say you can't start a fire without a spark, and all you need is a spark? Some of you are going, Bruce Springsteen's not a theologian. Good, you're listening. Hang with me. Hang with me. We're going to get there. You're not so tired that you don't have energy to hope. God can help us on that. And you ever try to help someone that doesn't want to change? And yes, I'm speaking to maybe those of you that say, I ain't writing nothing down on that dumb sheet. You ever try and help someone that wants to change? Of course you do, because this room is filled with good-hearted people. I'm convinced of that. You've got a friend that is going that way. They don't want to go that way. They want to go there, but they keep making decisions that take them there. Because it's not intention. Their intention is to go this way, but their direction is doing this. Their decisions are taking them this way, and you see it the entire time, and you're going, dude, don't do that. Dude, why are you doing that? And they're going, I'm going to keep doing the same thing, but I want different results. And you're going, face palm, are you that friend that someone else is talking to? If so, is it possible God's nudging your heart today? Is it possible? We're going to look over 3 things that you're going to have to do. You're going to have to step into for God to be able to plant that hope in your life. So I hope you're ready to follow along here. Go ahead and write that next one down. Open your mind to God's power. Open your mind to God's power. God's power is greater than your willpower. Nothing wrong with having some good willpower. I'm going to try harder. I'm going to try real hard. But if you're pushing on a pull door, it's really noble that you're tiring yourself out, but you're not going to get anywhere if you're pushing on a pull door. God's power is greater than your willpower. And the first step to change in our life is not by changing what we do, it's by changing what we're thinking about. And we're not talking about the power of positive thinking. We're talking about not just thinking like the rest of the world, but being transformed by the renewing of your mind. Open your mind to God's power. The possibility that God's got power that you don't have. The possibility that God exists, that He loves you. There's a lot of people that are extremely open-minded. And you may have run across some people that are so open-minded, you're pretty sure their brains have fallen out. I've run across those people. Some people probably think I am that person. But some people are extremely open-minded, and so you start talking about God and Jesus, and all of a sudden they close their mind up. And you know what? It makes sense why they do. It makes sense why they close their mind up. It's still a mistake and it's still hindering them, but maybe they close their mind because of some hurt that they've had. Do you know people like that? They've closed their mind to God because of hurt they've been through, hurt by someone that claimed to be one of those Jesus people, claimed to be one of those people in a church, was even a leader in the church, did some really dumb stuff and hurt you, and because of that, you closed your mind to God. Don't blame God for everything His kids do. You'll understand that when you're parents someday. When you're a parent someday, don't blame the parent for everything a kid does. Maybe it wasn't hurt. Next thing you know, maybe it's pride. Maybe pride is what's keeping you from opening your mind to God because you want to do it yourself, man. I don't want to be open to God. I want to manage my own life. I'm going to do it my way. Everyone in history has had the freedom to choose whatever they want. No one's had the freedom to escape the consequences of their choices. Choose wisely. Choose wisely. And then another thing that might cause you to keep your mind closed to God is fear. Fear. What's God going to do, man? I don't have control over it, so I'm not sure. Some people have had the thought, I don't think I'm ever going to be able to be happy again, get married, get remarried, be able to forgive, have a fresh start. And in a human point of view, that makes sense. But when we look at God's view, and we look at it from God's view of power, the Apostle Paul wrote this about it. He says, I pray also that the eyes of your heart. Now, obviously, he's speaking symbolic there. I've not attended a heart transplant, but I don't believe I've got 2 eyeballs on my heart. But about our mind, that it can be enlightened. You ever have that light bulb moment when you're trying to figure something out? Or a light bulb moment when you're, oh, that's where my keys are. What if you had a light bulb moment for your entire stinking life? I had that moment. I'll share it later. In order that you may know the hope to which he has called you. Hope. He's called you to hope. If you're not walking in hope, you're probably walking a different direction than the Father wants you to go. Before first service today, I'm out there greeting people, and this family gets out of their vehicle, and this 1.5, 2-year-old boy is just dressed super cute, and his mom's trying to get him over the puddle. Yeah, you can see where this is going. The mom is trying to lead the boy to the promised land, and the boy sees the puddle, no mistake. And the mom just splattered all over. I watched the entire thing going, oh, I wish I would have had my camera on. That would have been so, and the mom's laughing about it. He's leading you to hope. You're still jumping in the puddle. Let him lead you to hope. And that hope is hope that we can have, that he's called you to, and it's because of his incredible power that he has when he exerted in Christ and raising Christ from there. What does exerted mean? He flexed. He flexed. And when he flexed, boom, stone rolled away. Boom, Christ no longer dead. And if God can raise a dead person, he can raise your dead marriage. He can raise your dead heart. He can raise your dead dream. He can raise your dead life. Will you open your mind to God's power so that he can enlighten you? You may have to get past some hurt, some pride, and some fear. But what could happen if you did? You already know what's going to happen if you don't. What could happen if you did? Next. Open your heart to God's grace. Open your heart to his grace. God says, come to me. It doesn't matter if you're good, bad, ugly, beautiful, embarrassing, the stuff you're ashamed of. We all got ugliness on the inside, the stuff nobody else knows about, but God knows about. We've all blown it. We all know we don't measure up to God's standard, but we might say, I don't like his standard. Okay, throw his standard out of the way then. We don't measure up to our own standards. Fine, every one of us judge other people. Well, maybe not. Maybe everyone in this room is extremely holy and has never judged anybody in their life. If you've never judged anybody, would you please raise your hand so we can judge you right now? Those of you that have driver's licenses, have you ever judged another driver? Have you ever done what that other driver did? Yeah. We don't measure up to our own judgment. So we think, oh man, I got to get cleaned up before I give my life to God, man. So Easter, here we go. Jacket fits. Yes, okay, the jacket still fits. Yeah, we got to get shoe polished. Yeah, I got a little bit. And we think we got to get cleaned up on the outside so we can get ready to receive Jesus on the inside. Please tell me, in the vast history of human experience that you've encountered yourself, when has change on the outside of anything changed the inside? I have a tree in my front yard that was planted by Satan himself. It's called a sweet gumball tree. Are you familiar with them? You are familiar with them. Yes. I see that hand in the back. Lord bless you. It does not matter how beautiful of an apple I take and tie to that tree. It's not going to change the Velcro balls from hell that jump out of that tree. My vehicle is parked over in the lot across the street. I drive a 2006 maroon Prius. I dream of driving a Mini Cooper. It does not matter if I go and spend $2,000 for a Mini Cooper paint job in that Prius. I'm only going to get laughed at. It's still going to be a Prius on the inside. It's not going to be a Mini Cooper. So why do you think that you've got to wait and get the outside cleaned up before you change the inside? Changing your outside isn't going to change your fruit. You need to get him on the inside. He'll eventually work his way to the outside, friends. You don't need a makeover. You need a do-over. God's grace offers a do-over. A do-over. But you don't know what I've done. I don't deserve a do-over. Congratulations, you're right. No one has ever deserved a do-over. And no one has ever deserved grace. To say that someone deserves grace is a contradiction. You can no more earn God's grace than you can throw yourself a surprise birthday party. 1, 2, 3, surprise! You're not shocked. You can't throw yourself a surprise birthday party. You can't earn grace. Grace plus anything is anything but grace. Yeah, boom. That's not original with me. Nothing's original with me. I'm just trying to bring you good stuff. Grace plus anything is anything but grace. Jesus was full of grace and truth when he came from the Father. Now, do you understand that? Full of grace and truth. He wasn't 50-50, 50% grace, 50% truth. No. He was full of grace. I forgive you. He was full of truth. Go and sin no more. He was both at the same time, which is something we can't get to. We try to, and it's messy at some time. Wait a second, they deserve to be punished for what they did. Yes, they do. Go and sin no more. I forgive you. But wait a second, wait. It's hard to balance. He was full of grace and truth. Jesus is what grace and truth look like in our graceless world that has turned its back on truth. It's Jesus. So we look to him. Grace plus anything. Is that fair? No, it's not fair. Who wants fair? I don't want fair from God. I want grace. I want grace. Grace is better than fair. So how do you get grace? You don't earn it. You don't get religious for it. Everyone's available. All you gotta do is be humble. Receive it. Wait a second, I want to do stuff. I'm American. I've got to do stuff and then I get it. No, not grace. Not grace. But that means it's the same for everybody. Yep. It means it's not out of reach of any person, no matter how bad they've ever been. And that means people worse than you get grace the same way you do. Your being good hasn't earned you any extra credit with God. Humility. Humility. We usually make two mistakes with grace. We think, I'm too bad. Grace isn't strong enough. Grace is too weak to rescue me. Wrong. Or we take grace for granted and we abuse it. Oh, grace is too weak to change and transform my heart. Grace is power to rescue and transform. Grace is not Axe body spray that a 15-year-old sprays half the can on him before going to the junior high dance to cover up that he smells like a junior high boy. Grace changes the inside so you totally have the fragrance of Christ on the outside. Have you opened your mind to God's grace? Have you opened your heart to his grace? It's the power to change you inside out. Let's keep going. Last one. Open your life to God's love. Open your life to his love. No one's ever going to love you more than God does. Not even your mama. It's not because she doesn't love you enough. It's because she's limited in her love. She can't love you as much as God does. Jesus Christ proved it on the cross before you knew about it, before you asked, before you gave him permission to die for you, because he did not ask for permission before he sacrificed for you. And that's our prayer for you today, is that you would experience and feel God's love. That's why all the effort was put into anything that we're doing. That's why there's no donation cup by the drinks. That's why there's greeters at the door. That's why there's crazy teenagers out there with signs taller than they are waving them at you as on the way in. And that's why we're going to tell you when we take the offering, if you're a guest, we're going to tell you not to give financially today. We want you to experience and feel the power of God's love, and that you would open your life up to him. You're not too busy to open up your life. You're not too hurt to open up your life. You're not too tired to open up your life, because you're not too busy, too hurt, too tired to open up your life to other things that aren't working and aren't changing what you need changed. You have found a way to open yourself up to things that you look back on, you wish I hadn't opened myself up to that. Not only did it not help, it took me down. Why not consider opening your life up to his love? And where are you going to find that? You're probably not going to find that at 505 on Wednesday night, are you? For those of you out of town, 505 is a local bar. You're probably not going to find that love you're looking for. You'll find something there. Oh, you'll find something. You'll find something. Why not look in a local church? The relationships you have in your life that are healthy because you meet regularly. And so if you're looking for a local church, find one that hangs to God's word. And there's a lot of great local churches in this town. Or if you're a guest from out of town, there's a good one in your town somewhere. You may have attended 5 bad ones. There's a good one there. Find a church you can make friends. Find a church you can invite friends. And if the church service is too dead and dry or too whacked out and crazy, and maybe you think there's probably people in this room that think we're both. There's someone that thinks we're too dead and dry, and someone thinks we're too whacked out and crazy. If it's too crazy like that, well, you can't invite friends. That's not going to work. Find one that you think the leadership is respectable. Doesn't mean you always agree with them. And find one where you can serve. And you see people serving all over here, any healthy church in town. Matter of fact, we start a new series next Sunday. We're calling it In the Meantime. What do you do when there's nothing you can do? I listened to this series from another pastor a couple years ago and just really resonated with my heart, and I think it's the right time to do it. What do you do with situations in your life that have no solutions? Situations that have no solutions. And you're going, I can never be happy again now because of this. What do you do when there's nothing you can do? So we're hitting real life square in the face next Sunday. What's the start, though? The start is open your life to God's love. You were made by God and for God. You were not created without purpose. Even if you do the math in your family and you go, Mom and Dad, how come the first two kids in the family were 2 years apart, but then there were 7 years and there was me? That means you were a surprise. Not an accident. Not an accident. Parents have accidental children. Parents have accidental children. God's never had an accidental child in his life. There are accidental parents. There are no accidental people. God gave you a purpose. And it's way more than just to go ahead and exist, use up resources, and exit. He's got way more for you than that. Or the way I've heard it phrased is get all you can all you get, sit on the can until you kick the bucket. Is that your purpose? Not at all. He's dropped something a whole lot deeper in your heart. And it's resonating with you today. And in a little bit, you'll have the chance to respond. And you'll have the chance to reject. And his heart's out there for you. Matter of fact, how much more vulnerable can he get when you're hanging on a cross and people are spitting in your face? Has God been trying to get your attention over the past 2 weeks, 2 months, 2 years? Do you think it's worth it to give him your attention? God says you can start over, but this time, let me help. Why don't you open your mind to his power, that he exists and loves you? Why don't you open your heart to his grace, that he wants to forgive you and give you a fresh start, and open your life to his love? Earlier, I asked you, I would love to change, and I hope you wrote something down. But in the last blank, you can see what's there. With God's power, I can. But I'm not sure that I can. With man, it's impossible. But with God. With man, it's impossible. You're right. What could you write down there? But that'd be a step of faith. You're right, it would be. But Easter gives us the power to start over because Jesus stared death in the face. And that gives us power to hope for anything that's dead in our life, for anything that's been stopping us. And it gives Jesus the power to arrest anything that's been arresting us.